All right, guys. I had to stop to make a quick note of a couple of things. One, this James Gang song was like 15 minutes long, so I had to pause it. But so I'm working on the brakes, and obviously I got my two fittings out. Now, another thing I want to mention so you guys don't create waste. Now, as with our plate, when I came out here and I measured and I made my templates, and I allowed for a little extra, which allowed us to do these outer braces to tie in the outer portion of the frame into the box section of the frame. You can see I got brake fluid on my hands and I'm already getting it on the frame, but no one's going to see that. So what I was going to say is, so you take your tape measure and you roughly measure the length you need. But keep in mind, you're going to be bending it, so you're going to be losing, some distance. So let's say you got 10 feet, right? In between your proportioning valve and your rear tray area there, or brace across the two spring perches. So, a quick way to do it is you measure from your center to a point on the frame that you like where you would bend it. And then from there, go to the next bend. And then from there, go to the next bend. And then from there, go to the next flat area. And then your next bend and your next swoop, which will end up going up into the proportioning valve. So this way you add up all your totals and you give yourself maybe an extra 5 inches because your bends aren't going to be exactly perfect, and you create a lot less waste. So I'm going to show you guys, this is the waste we had from that plate that I bought when I had the shop cut it for me. This is all we got. This is our scrap. I even keep little pieces like this. This is our scrap, and I'm going to keep it because we can use this. This is still good. Nice square pieces. I carefully cut everything. They just need to get deburred. But that way, we don't create scrap. Obviously, with brake lines, the chances of you using something that small, unless you snort coke, is not going to be relevant. So, but you want to eliminate waste. So that's what we're doing. All right, guys. So I got my line laid in there. The bends are approximate to where I want them. Clearly, there's no clips in there. Now, a little tip. This is a little harder with steel lines, but you're going to put your screw in the front, lightly thread it in, and start kind of forming your line, work your way back until you get to the top. Pick a good spot where you want to cut it, grab your tube cutter, cut it, drop your flare nut in there, and check out the size. How you like it. You may have to trim it back. Now, we didn't waste a lot of line. There's a little, maybe 13-inch piece right there. That's all we wasted. Not a whole lot. So we were fairly close. I did give myself a little extra room, and that's exactly what I had extra for room. I took a picture. I wish I recorded it, but both sides are lightly threaded in. I'm going to start putting in my clips and doing the final forming. And with this stuff, it's really easy to form. It's actually a little too easy. I almost kinked it up there, that little tight bend. But it's good. It's not pinched. It's not cracked or anything. Now, a thing you do have to check with this copper alloy is check for cracking whenever you do your flares on any material. So always check for that. I'm going to wrap this up, and then we'll move on to the lines from the proportioning valve to the master. All right, guys. I promise I don't always wear slippers when I work, but I'm already done. We had dinner, and I just figured I'd show you guys. These lines came out really nice. My wife can get in there and show you guys a little bit what they look like. The bends came out really nice. We went out obviously from the rubber hose all the way to the proportioning valve at the front, and then at the front, I obviously couldn't finish up the lines at the front because we haven't dropped the body down yet. So all I did was I ran my 1/4 inch and my 3/16 up and over the frame, and I kind of laid them down because I don't want to crush them or anything. Finn's out here with us. Say hi, Finnegan. Got a boo-boo on the nose today. Took him to work. So if I can get around here, I said I was going to show you guys how this tool works out. I'm sure maybe some of you are familiar, maybe some of you are not. I've used it a couple of times. I already made one here. This is kind of what it should look like. The other side is the prefab side, because I bought a short, like a 6-foot section of 3/16. So it's very similar. I'll bend it. That's how easy it bends. You can compare the two. There's some slight differences, but it works really well. I pre-made one just in case if I fucked it up. Again, I don't do brake lines every day, but you have your dies that are for different sizes. Since we're going to be doing a 1/4 inch line, because I got a strip of 1/4 inch to waste here, you just kind of lightly clamp it for now in there. All right, you got to back this out. You got to make sure you tighten up your ram there. All right, and then you got to put the right die in there. So we got the 1/4 inch die, and there is some adjusting to do because this all moves. It goes up and down. You got to hold this in place. I may have put that in there too tight. It does have to have just a little bit of a crush. Not crap, and it fell. God damn it! So so you can see, I'm gonna line it up with the die, and then we're gonna bring it back. So you kind of want to go like a little under flush on the die. And this is a little harder trying to show you guys, but you want to keep this as straight as possible. Your die, you want it to be pushed all the way back. Just a little about flush there. Now it is going to push. You want to make sure it's flat. Crank it down. Now we're going to have to keep... Oop, fucking scratching the door now. You want to keep this lined up, so you're going to have to hold that a little bit until you get it centered in the hole. Hole. So you want to bottom it out. All right. You don't want to snug it up too much. You tighten up your valve. You go ahead. You're going to pump it until you feel it get tight. Which I may have not tightened that one up enough. We'll see. You loosen up your valve. You back this out, and yeah. Oh no, it came out good. So right there is the first process, right? So, and this is for, you know, and then you grab you take this out, put this back in our box, and you put your cone in there, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to tighten it up, make sure that this is still tight. You're going to tighten that up until it just kind of bottoms out in there. Tighten up your valve, give it a couple of squeezes, and with this step, you don't want to feel it you don't want to go too much, because I'll explain. This is a soft material, and I've learned this the hard way, and I'm getting better at it. When I did the brake lines on the Cutlass, I used the same material. Well, it came up fucking out. It does thread, guys. I didn't break it. So I'll show you guys. Let me just put this back in here because that kind of bugs me. God damn it! I didn't take the cone out either. Shit! All right, so put this shit back over here. So you can see this one didn't come out good. It laid in there crooked. And this is in the flush, man. So, you know, you're going to have to check it. So we're going to go back and do it all over again. I think part of it is the fact that I'm not really laying down on something like I was earlier. I was using the ground, something to keep it flat. So we're going to put our dies back in there. And you see, that's why I pre-made one, because it can get a little tricky. You really want to be as steady as possible. So we're going to tighten this up just until we can barely slide this out, and it bites in there usually pretty good. So again, keep it flat. I showed you guys this, but you want to go almost just a little under flush. Crank her down. Grab your 1/4 inch die. Put that in there. All right, we're snug in there. Make sure this is good. Tighten this up. We're going to pump it. All right, we're good. You just want to feel it bottom out. And that one looks good. It looks straight. All right. Back this out, take this out, put our cone in. And the cone is the last step, obviously. And this is why you want to make sure you're straight in there. All right, so we got to tighten there. Tighten the valve up. And you can kind of watch it too. I don't know how good you're going to be able to get it in there. But you can kind of watch it too, and you can almost gauge how much you're going to want to go based off of, like if you've ever seen a pre-manufactured flare, which if you buy lines, sometimes you get ends that are already prefab, right? So we're going to pull this out. Put our stuff down, and that looks a lot better. It's nice and straight. And you don't, now the thing I was going to say is you don't want to over crush this, because I almost started to fold it in. You could see a little bit in there. And I mean, this will work, but you want to be careful, because if you crush this too much, you're going to leave it thin. And when you go to tighten it up, you're going to break off whatever's left of the flare. And that's one of the problems I ran into when I first started using this copper alloy. For brake lines, the first time I used it was on the Cutlass, and this is a great material. It's more than enough. It bends super easy, really nice, but it is a little trickier to work with. Now steel lines are a little bit more forgiving, they're sturdier, but once you learn how to use this stuff, it works awesome. So that's my little I guess showing you guys how this tool works. It's a really nice tool. As you can see, this one came out better. I was a little bit more sturdier. You can compare the two. You can tell I made this one because it's got the ribs on the side where the die holds it. So you can see it on the side. I pre-made that one. And this is the end that came from the parts store, prefabbed. So they're pretty comparable. So you can get a really nice flare out of this kit. And so it's a little expensive, but it is nice. If you work on cars, even on the hobbyist level, and you're doing a resto, you're going to be doing a lot of lines, unless you buy them pre-bent. But unless you work like an oddball car like this, you're not going to be able to find pre-bent stuff. You're going to have to bend your own stuff. So, yeah, so that's it, guys. Brake lines are done. Next week, we drop the body down, and that's pretty much all we're going to do next week. I'm probably going to take care of the AC cover. The AC delete cover, because that's a quick job I can do next week. I didn't want to kill a lot of time today. I've been running around all day. I'm tired. Pretty much done. So this week we're not working out here. Sunday. Today's Saturday. So I'll check in with you guys next week. We won't be working out here like we did during the week, getting the frame, but I saved myself a lot of time. Work was just a little slow. I didn't really have to stay late. So share, like, subscribe, hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram, Copper Cutlass. Follow us on Facebook, Copper's Garage. That's it, guys. That's all we got.